So you like guns. Many of them. Lots of them. And you also like lots of guns. So how about we just talk Gunslinger in this video. The Gunslinger is a female class in Lost Ark that uses many guns. She has access to 3 different weapons, which is her identity, and can swap around freely. She has a pair of handguns, aka pistols, a shotgun, and finally a big sniper rifle. As you can guess, the goal is to swap around your weapons depending on cooldowns and depending on the mechanics that are happening. The pistols usually serve you to apply a debuff to the target that increases crit chance of your party, buff your movement speed and attack speed, and also having tons of movement tools. The shotgun is a close-range burst damage weapon, and when you feel like shooting from far away, the sniper will come in handy. You are indeed supposed to use all 3 weapons in your kit, so if you're thinking about reducing it to one single weapon, I got some bad news and some good news. You can't, but you can reduce it to 2, which brings me to the class engravings. The Gunslinger has access to 2 different class engravings. Time to Hunt, which is barely used, and the commonly used Peacemaker. Time to Hunt reduces your weapon arsenal to only sniper and pistols and makes you unable to use your shotgun in exchange for getting up to 30% more critical strike chance. This engraving is by far the lesser common one, as it simply has less damage output and also because it removes part of the core identity of the Gunslinger. Now onto the real engraving. Peacemaker is very interesting as it gives you a specific buff when you change to a specific weapon. For your pistols, you receive up to 16% more attack speed. For the shotgun, you receive 25% more critical strike chance. And lastly, your sniper damage is increased by 10% and even an additional 30% if the target has less than 50% of their HP. For this video, I'm going to mainly focus on skills of the Peacemaker playstyle, as it is by far the most commonly ran of the 2 engravings. So let's have a look at our skills. First, we're gonna go over our pistol skills, which are again mainly used for mobility, debuff the target, and buff ourselves. Let's start with Spiral Tracker. The Gunslinger throws a revolver at your cursor position and it spins for a short amount of time while inflicting damage. We want to run only 1 level here with weakness exposure for the debuff. Equilibrium is a short pistol skill that deals damage in a frontal cone. Again, here we only use weakness exposure to apply the debuff. A side note is that the debuffs do not stack. You can only refresh the timer by using a different debuff skill. To get in some mobility skills, first off is Dexterous Shot. It does both, applying the debuff and it also gives us nice movement. While moving, the Gunslinger shoots around her. Next up is Peacekeeper, which is simply used to cover distance. Remember to always be in your pistol stance for movement. These kind of skills are the reason why. We barely ever use the second part of this combo skill. Again, only 1 tripod for mobility is used here. Then we have Quick Stab, which is not only nice mobility output but also gives us additional move speed and attack speed if it hits an enemy, thanks to the life absorption tripod. Lastly, if you have everything on cooldown but still want to do some damage, you can use Bullet Rain with the ambush tripod for pure damage. The Gunslinger fires in one direction and simply does damage. Onto our shotgun skills, which make up a major part of our damage. Sharpshooter is a fast frontal shotgun skill where the Gunslinger uses both of the shotguns to do damage. You are able to interrupt this skill by swapping weapons if you want to do so. We want to max out Sharpshooter with 3 tripods going 3, 1, 1. Next up is Shotgun Rapid Fire. The Gunslinger shoots 3 times in front of her, inflicting massive damage. For tripods, we choose 2, 1, 2. Dual Buckshot is a combo action totaling for 5 hits in a short distance in front of the Gunslinger. We again max out this skill and go for 1, 2, 1. Our last shotgun skill that we use is Last Request, where the Gunslinger shoots a bomb out of her shotgun, dealing damage in a short range in front of her. Only 1 tripod is enough for this skill, which is the Quick Preparation. Lastly, the sniper skills. Please note that all the tripods I chose here are the highest damage outputting tripod, but you can change them around for some utility. Perfect Shot is a far range small line damage shot, which you must hold and release at the correct moment for the Gunslinger to deal massive damage. We are maxing this skill with tripods 2, 3, 2. Focus shot is composed of 4 far-range shots with the last one dealing high damage. You are rooted in place while using this skill and can only cancel it with your spacebar. The 3 tripods we use are 2, 3, 2. And our final sniper skill, that in my opinion is also the fanciest skill in the whole kit, is Target Down. The Gunslinger sits down and starts to take aim at your cursor. She then proceeds to fire 4 far-range shots onto the location of your cursor. We also max out this skill with tripods 1, 1 and 1. Lastly, we have 2 ultimates at our disposal, of which the first one is higher damage but much slower, and the second one faster but lower damage. Choose it depending on the enemy you are going to fight. Now that we know all the skills that we're running, let's have a look at our basic playstyle, which in the Gunslinger's case is more of a priority order than a rotation. As mentioned previously, your pistols are your main buff, debuff and movement tools. So your goal is to always keep up the critical debuff on the target. This requires you to swap back to your pistols regularly in order to keep that debuff up. Preferably, you also want to keep up your own attack speed and movement speed buff as much as possible. Attack speed in Lost Ark also affects casting speed, which is very valuable for the Gunslinger. After that, it's simple, use everything on cooldown if you can. Your pistols are honestly the most vital part of your kit, since they also help you to move around much faster. Every time you want to move, you should be in pistol stance. Both sniper and shotgun lock you into place with most skills that you can only cancel by using your spacebar. Mastering the Gunslinger playstyle is simply depending on you mastering the weapon swaps. Using the shotgun skills isn't terribly hard, besides that you need to be in close range in order to hit them. For the sniper, it's even easier. You can just simply run out of melee range and use the sniper and start pumping. Keep in mind, most of your damage is coming from both of your shotgun and your sniper. So to sum it up in a simple way, pistols utility, shotgun and sniper damage. Before we talk about engravings and whatnot, I want to share my opinion of the Gunslinger with you. I have to first mention that I've been playing Deadeye for quite a while before I decided to make a Gunslinger, and oh boy, this is a different world. The Gunslinger feels like the final and better version of the Deadeye, if I'm honest. In general, she feels very fluid to play, especially in her pistol stance. The amount of mobility she offers is incredible. There is no excuse of getting hit by anything with this class. With that being said, getting hit by something does hurt a lot. She honestly, in my opinion, is pretty hard to play properly because you gotta keep swapping weapons, not only according to cooldowns and debuffs, but also according to what's happening. It's a lot to micromanage, which can be tough. Having a lot of experience in raids made it much easier for me to pick up the Gunslinger and simply focus on the kit, while passively being aware of what's going on around me. Now if this would not be the case, I'd be lying on the floor quite a lot. Managing all of your weapons for maximum damage and being aware of mechanics is a lot to do, more than you might anticipate at first. But this all obviously comes with some reward, which is that the Gunslinger simply feels really good to play. Besides the fluent pistols that I mentioned earlier, her shotgun and her sniper both feel extremely powerful and do massive damage. Honestly, the best part is to not care about positionals on my shotgun, unlike on Deadeye. That is the biggest factor for me personally, to simply not play Deadeye and go with the Slinger. The luxury of not having to be on the back of the target for the shotgun is simply amazing. And let's all be real, the Gunslinger looks incredibly good and has really good looking outfits. If you are considering playing Deadeye, I beg you, consider the Gunslinger too. I personally wanted to make a Deadeye alt on the EUNA version, but that will end up being a Gunslinger. Let's now talk about engravings and stats. First up, the stats real quick. The Gunslinger loves crit, so that's what we're going to aim for, lots of it. For tier 1, aka EUNA launch, you want to focus on crit everywhere, and on the necklace you want to have specialization as a secondary. Further down the road in tier 3, you also want to throw in some agility because you might overcap on crit. For engravings, let's first talk about what to run for NAEO launch. In tier 1, you will have access to 2 full engravings and an additional one at level 1, if you optimize decently that is. So I suggest personally to run the following. Grudge at level 3 is a no-brainer, the highest damage boost possible. Now what to run as secondary engraving honestly is up to you, there's multiple choices. You can go for Massacre, Cursed Doll or Adrenaline. Bear in mind some of these names might change for the EUNA release, and that these are the Russian names. Out of those 3, personally I would suggest Adrenaline for additional crit chance, but all 3 are very close in terms of damage boost. Lastly, you definitely want Peacemaker at level 1. This is your most optimal setup you can go for. Obviously, if you want to play Hunting Time, I suggest going Grudge 3, Adrenaline 2, Hunting Time 1 and Peacemaker 1. Later down the road, you simply fill out your engravings and the final setup should look like this: Grudge level 3, Cursed Doll level 3, Massacre level 3, Keen Blunt Weapon level 3, and Peacemaker at level 1 up to level 3. Additionally, you can also throw in Adrenaline. And with that, we're done. I hope you enjoyed the Gunslinger in a nutshell video. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this format, make sure to check out my other in a nutshell videos covering more classes in a similar fashion. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Twitch. Any follow already helps me to continue doing what I love doing, which is content creation and giving you guys as much information as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day wherever you live.